Hello, marketing gurus. This is Professor G's Remedies for Marketing 421. We're about to discuss distribution, and that you will find it in week 4. Specifically on an assignment, it is the team assignment number 9 portion of that assignment. And so let's get into it. So here's your scenario. Of course, you are a lemonade company or beverage company coming up with the lemonade product, and you need to present to the board of directors a distribution strategy that exploits the company's ability to market this product to local markets across the U.S. and potentially around the world. So, intermediaries. It's important that you understand what an intermediary is. It'd be great that you talk about this term on that portion of the assignment. Intermediaries are firms that perform various functions to make possible the flow of products from producer to individual. They could do things like broker a transaction, uh, purchase a product, and sell it in their stores. So these intermediaries, they help get your product into the hands of consumers. They will be able to broker a transaction between the person who makes it, the manufacturer or producer, and get the items organized, transportation, and the financing of the stuff, so that it can get to a retailer so that they can put it on their shelves for the consumer to purchase. And let's not get anything wrong, misunderstood here as well. If somebody sells something on Amazon, you need to know that that is a retailer as well. Although they don't have a physical shelf, they do have a place they display it. They have places in which they purchase from a wholesaler and put it into their warehouses to then sell it to consumers. Also, they will arrange transportation like UPS or like any other type of transportation. You've seen night trucking, or you've seen Mayflower, those type of things. Those trucking companies, they can organize, or they have their own trucks, like Walmart will have that, but sometimes they subcontract with truckers. They may not have use all the truckers may not be Walmart employees, and then also provide financing for this stuff. So if a producer makes something and ships it to a retailer, normally they have 30 days to pay on that. That's called net 30 terms. Also, a retailer can provide financing. We've seen that before. Of course, there's if you were to buy an automobile, they provide, like Ford Motor Company has their own financing section that they can provide financing for. So either or, it could be financing for wholesalers in net 30 terms, or it could be towards the consumer where they can actually take out a loan. So that you know that UPS is not an intermediary as far as like a wholesaler or a retailer. They just provide transportation, and so they're part of the transportation and logistical portion of it, but they don't buy a product, warehouse it, finance it, whatever like that, and then sell it to a consumer. They just move it. So let's go over some distribution channels. You have two basic main channels, overall channels, and that is the direct and indirect channels. And in both those channels, you have the same uh, main category, which is a producer or manufacturer. Somebody's got to make the product. So even if it is a person or a company who makes a little widget to then sell to a manufacturer that will make a product, it's still a producer. There's also companies who make stuff and then sell it as well. So, and for a consumer. So the first level here is direct, and they what they do is they make it and then sell it straight to the consumer. And that would be a company like Tesla. They make their own car and then they sell it direct to the consumer. Now, there is another link in the chain, which is a retailer. So could be anything from like Macy's. Clothing store is a great example, or shoe stores where they will have Tommy Hilfiger next to you name it, whatever's another Pierre Cardin and all of these other name brand Levi's and all of these other name brand clothing items. They're different manufacturers, but selling it at a store, and that's a retailer. So they will purchase it from different producers, warehouse it, distribute it out, and spread it out to all the other stores that they have, even online, to sell it to the customer. Okay. And then there is another link in the chain, which is called a wholesaler. Now, these could be any items. I've often used an example of Best Buy is not a wholesaler, but they will get smaller items like chargers, charger cables, cell phone covers. And then also the same wholesaler could also sell to them controllers for TVs and then controllers for Xbox games and PlayStation and all of that. And then at the same time, they may have tablets or they will have ink cartridges or what have you. These wholesalers pull together from all these different producers and put it in their warehouses. And then when the warehouse for Best Buy runs low on it, they put in an order for the wholesaler to stock it into their warehouses and distribution centers and then put it into their stores and move it with their trucks or trucking companies and put it in their stores to sell to the consumer. And then lastly, you have the agent. Now, a lot of times agents are used for global things, for cross overseas. They may have exclusive deals to do that, and where they more likely broker with a producer. They don't warehouse it, but they make sure they either gets to, now they could sell and move this product to a wholesaler or to a retailer. It doesn't matter. It depends on how many of these items that are going to be coming into that country. They are familiar with the regulatory laws when it comes to that. And then they're also familiar with the different wholesalers in these countries and the different retailers and where they are and the best places to put your stuff in order to get it into the hands of the consumer. Now, each one of these different links in the chain, the retailer, wholesaler, the producer, they all want a bit of that pie as far as taking or charging a certain amount of money in order to handle these things, the transportation costs, the cost it takes to have somebody move this in warehouses and all that stuff, that costs money. So they want a certain percentage of the total price of the product or cost plus type of thing. So that could be an incentive for retailers or wholesalers to want to stock that product into their warehouses or into their stores, is how much money they make on a pair of jeans. How much money are they going to make on belts and tennis shoes? That's very important. And so coming up also with a strategy that includes some kind of incentive for these people to sell them in their stores, that can go a very long way. Now, so that you know, Costco is not a wholesaler like they claim it is. They sell things at a wholesale price, but more than likely, the people who are buying these things is for their use and not so that they can resell it. And that's the purpose of a wholesaler, is that these are companies who will stock the product and then sell it and also provide net 30 terms more than likely for other companies to sell. And they have exclusive contracts for exclusive distribution rights in a geographical area. That's what a wholesaler does. Costco is a retailer that sells things and bundles things up in a wholesale type of way. That's what it is. So it is on the retail portion of the link and not a wholesale portion of the link of intermediaries. So there are three main influencers that's going to help you decide whether to use a wholesaler or to use a retailer or even to sell this stuff direct. Okay, so some of these things we learned this in week one, environmental scanning, right? So there's an environmental force, and these different forces: social, economic, technology, competition, and regulatory. So there might be some places that only allow limited distribution of certain products. There may be they may regulatory, like for alcohol. If your lemonade is going to have alcohol in it, you have to use the wholesaler. It's the law. So this is very important in making these decisions uh, uh, in order to distribute your product. Now, competition, I'm going to focus that mainly on this. It's going to help make that decision for you. Uh, Also, a couple weeks ago, we talked about product categories. Is your product a product of convenience, a shopping product, specialty product, or an unsought product? Depending upon your product category, it's going to tell us what type of density, how many of these items are you going to get out there, and how many places are you going to get this stuff into in order to sell them to the customers that you want. And depending on, a lot of times, your competition may depend upon your level of density. Is it going to be intensive, selective, or exclusive? Intensive meaning, is it going to be everywhere? Selective, is it going to be at a few places? Good example, Palm Wonderful. I was getting into buying pomegranate juice and wanting to buy Palm Wonderful for a while. Believe it or not, they sell this only at a select few grocery stores, select places. You may not be able to find it at Walmart, but you may be able to find it at Vons or at Albertsons. And then, is it exclusive? The only thing I could really see being exclusive about a lemonade would probably be have an exclusive deal with, like, Wendy's. They want to have your lemonade to dispense, that type of thing. So, so this is from before. We have the entire links in our chains of intermediaries, and this is your influencers. And if you take a look here, so depending upon your category is going to depend upon your level of intensity. You can be you be a specialty product, but you're probably going to be exclusive. People are going to search you out, find your special lemonade. Now, you can be a shopping product like that Palm Wonderful and be in a select few places, or if you are being competitive right up against, let's say, Arizona iced tea. Well, those are sold in convenience stores. Well, there's heck of a lot of convenience stores and a lot of grocery stores. So it's going to be a product of convenience. And if your differentiation is based on price, you're 10 cents cheaper than they are a can, then you want to be in a place in which the customer can take a look and see your product right next to Arizona iced tea and make a purchase decision. So, depending upon your competition, you are going to have to also match it up with the level of density, and matching up the level of density is matching up the level of convenience, which is going to be matching up how many links, how many intermediaries you're going to have to go through to get your products into the hands of your customer. So this is Professor G's Remedies for Marketing 421. I'm talking about week 4. This is problem number 9 on your team assignment worksheet, going over a distribution strategy. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, feel free to leave them in the discussion below, and have yourself an awesome day.